we are settling. We're settling in our health. We're settling in our lives. Life is passing us by. And when we settle, there are bad things that happen. And so on this episode, I'm specifically going to speak to the standard and the 7 aspects of your health. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Office Visits with Dr. V. I'm your host, Benita Williams Vernado, MD. You can call me Dr. V. I'm a board-certified OBGYN, board-certified lifestyle medicine physician, and it is my mission now to make sure you have the happiest and healthiest life possible. Because that's what I'm doing and that's what I've created. And I want you to get a piece of this. So today's episode, well, let me just first say, I've had guests on and I haven't had a lot of solo episodes. So I hear you. You want more of Dr. V. When I have guests, I have to come on and they are here to teach me something, teach you something. And so I let them teach. But yeah, I want to get my voice back out here and just continue to pour into you. And so before I get started, I just want to remind you that we are now on YouTube. If you are seeing all this pink and lusciousness, you're probably watching it on YouTube. We're also on TikTok, in addition to Instagram and Facebook. So please check us out there. Let's get started. Today's episode, and listen, y'all can write me, you can call me, you can have your opinion. This is a rough one. But parents of humans, parents of animals or fur babies, you will understand this. And today we're going to be talking about setting a standard. Setting a standard, or not necessarily setting a standard, but knowing what the standard is. Knowing that there is a standard, right? And knowing and how and why it's important to know that there's a standard. And I'll just kind of give you a story, from my archives from practicing medicine. When you're a physician, you are often visited by representatives of certain medications or of certain practices that have services that they'd like you to be involved with or consider referring your patients to. So they come to your office and you guys talk. Usually they provide lunch or something like in between your morning and your afternoon. And there was a weight loss program that was starting up, and they were coming to just kind of let us know what services they had. Now, this is where, I was still practicing full time, but I was dabbling into lifestyle medicine. I was new too. I was fresh. So I knew the benefits of a plant-based diet, and they had a nutritionist, and I said, do y'all have a plant-based nutritionist, or do you talk much to your patients about being plant-based? And she says, no, we don't. We don't have a plant-based nutritionist, but we don't promote a plant-based diet because it's just too hard to reach. It's just too hard to continue that lifestyle. And I was thinking to myself when she said it, okay, maybe it's hard, but at least let people know that it's the best, or that it is optimal, or that you want to get as close to that as you can, to not say that, hey, there's good, better, and best. I think people should know best. If they're at bad, then let's help them get to good, then better, and maybe close to best. Maybe we won't be perfect, but at least know that there is a best. And so we say a gold standard, which I think that's a financial term, like gold like actual gold is the gold standard. But in medicine, we say that, when you're doing a test, you compare it to the gold standard. And the gold standard is always your best, most accurate test. So maybe this test is not as good as the gold standard, but maybe it's 95%. So, hey, that's something that we can consider, because maybe the gold standard isn't very readily available, or it's expensive, or it's time consuming, whatever. But we know that there is a standard to which we compare. And so why is there a standard? So number one, there's a standard because that helps you understand when you have reached mastery. Again, I said at the beginning, parents and fur parents will understand, parents of humans and of animals will understand that, pooping in the house some of the time is not what we're going for. That's not the standard. The standard is, if you are a kid, poop in your potty all the time, pee in your potty all the time. If you're an animal, pee and poop outside all of the time. That's the gold standard. That's the best. Do we have accidents every now and again? Yes, we do. But the best is the best. So when you reach that point, I have mastered this. I have mastered toileting. Did y'all know that that's the word for that, toileting? I have mastered going to the bathroom. Okay, so it's important to know that what the standard is, so you can say, yes, I've accomplished something. Also, the standard gives you something to strive for, right? When you know that there's a standard, you're on that continuum of good, better, best. So the reason I really feel like it's important, again, to highlight this is because we are settling. We're settling in our health. We're settling in our lives. Life is passing us by. And when we settle, there are bad things that happen. And so on this episode, I'm specifically going to speak to the standard and the 7 aspects of your health. I talk about the 6 pillars plus 1 of lifestyle medicine. So we're going to just address the standard and 7 of those aspects of your health. And again, this is optimal. This is what I consider is the best or close to it. If you have other thoughts or you don't agree with me, I would love to hear about it. So if this is on YouTube, put it in the comments. Social media, you can, comment. Let me know what you're thinking. So, all right. So let's start with nutrition. That's a big one. Oh, wait. How did I forget this? Before I get started, I read this, and you guys know I have a group in the morning. We meet at 5:15 and 6 a.m. If you're trying to be with us, let me know. But we've read a devotional, and I'm just going to show it. Dr. Myles Munroe's. I call it the textbook. This is what we review in the first 90 days with Dr. V. And I just want to read this to you. This is on page 138. And this is the last paragraph of the devotional. I'm going to read part of it. At times, you will find it difficult to remain in your vision. You'll find it difficult to kind of keep at this healthy lifestyle. But vision always demands a cost. Your health demands a cost. Someone has to pay the price. Someone has to pay the price. Are you willing to do it? So there is a cost for your health. There's a price that you have to pay. And there are no discounts. There are no discounts. There's a price that you have to pay. Now, whether you want to pay it or not, that's on you. But there is a price. So you go into, Target. Sometimes they'll have discounts on their purses. That's where I just realized, y'all, recently, I get a lot of my clothes from Target. Love Target. And sometimes they have sales. But you go into Louis Vuitton, Gucci, there ain't no discounts, right? Try walking up in Gucci or Louis Vuitton with a coupon. You look crazy. They don't even make coupons. All right. So that's the frame of mind. You like that? That's the frame of mind that I want you to have as we go through this. And I'm going to try to keep this brief. Okay. There's 7. All right. So nutrition. All right. One more thing I got to say before I get started. Ozempic. They're calling it the weight loss drug. It's selling out everywhere. It's indicated for people who are obese and for people who have diabetes. If you got one of those conditions, or if you're not obese, but you're overweight and you've got a health condition like diabetes and hypertension to go with it, then you can get it. So you take the medication, but you still have to eat right. You still have to exercise. You still have to do all of these things. So there are no shortcuts. There's no discounts. All right. So nutrition. You got to eat real food. You got to eat real food. And most likely, you've got to prepare it. I'm sorry. You've got to prepare it. If you let other people cook for you and you don't know what's in your food, that's probably not the best. Do I eat out? Yes. But again, we're talking about the standard, right? The gold standard. So you all know that I promote a plant-based predominant diet. Keyword is predominant. It doesn't have to be 100% plant-based, but as many plants and whole grains that you can include into your diet, the better. What you eat, what you put into your body. If it is in a box, if it's in a box, if it was made in a factory, if it doesn't decompose for 2 years, it's not real food. It's not real food. And so when you eat fruits and vegetables, it has fiber. That helps your GI tract. When you drink water without dyes and chemicals, that's best. When you cook your food at home and you cook with more spices and you don't put as much salt, sugar, fat in your food, that's best. That's number 1. Nutrition, you're going to have to eat real food, and most likely you're going to have to do it yourself. Stay tuned to other episodes of Office Visits with Dr. V to figure out how you can implement all of this, but that's the standard. Okay. Number 2 is exercise. What is the gold standard for exercise? So, just like we say there are, you should get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. There are some standards for the amount of time that you should exercise per week. And so Lifestyle Medicine, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, of whom I am a member, they have a standard, and I'm going to tell that to you now. So in accordance with the United States Department of Health and Human Services, the recommendation is 150 minutes of moderately intense exercise per week, or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise. So 150 minutes of moderate exercise, like, walking, running, depending on the pace, will probably be vigorous. But 150 minutes of moderate exercise, 75 minutes of super duper intense. So definitely our cycling, our HIIT, all of those things where you're like dripping in sweat, boxing, jump rope, those things that really, really take your heart rate to the next level. All right, so 150 and 75. If you want more benefits, and this is where I'm saying, let's go. This is best. 300 minutes of exercise per week of moderate intensity. And for more vigorous exercise, 150 per week. 150 per week. And so that's better, and then there's best. If you are getting up, moving, doing something every day, getting your heart rate up, all right, check. That's good. Better is 30 minutes of exercise moderate intensity, 5 days a week. And then best would be an hour, 5 days a week, right? I think there are countries where people move every single day. And so that's Dr. V's best. We have people who walk to work, who bike to work. We have people who walk 2 miles to get water with a bucket, and they are healthier. And so moving, we know there is some benefit in that. So currently, the best recommendations we have are 300 minutes of moderate exercise. But hey, you can walk 30 minutes outside 7 days a week. Now, remember, Dr. V is not your personal doctor. I don't think a 20-minute walk for the average, 20 to 30-minute walk every day for the average person is not a problem. And we have also found that when it comes to exercise, that we no longer have to tell people, go ask your doctor. There are very specific conditions like heart issues where people need to have an official exercise consult. But for the average person, even if you have diabetes, hypertension, especially if you have diabetes or hypertension, you don't need to make a doctor's appointment just to go exercise, which is good. All right, so we got that gold standard. We got better and best, but listen, again, you got to start somewhere. So if it's 20 minutes, 3 days a week, that's where we start. But the most important part of the recommendation, and I haven't said it yet, is it needs to be consistent. It needs to be consistent. Something that you do every day of the week is best. 5 to 6 days a week is fine. Me personally, I do Pilates Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, a bonus on Sunday sometimes, and then I do my walking program gearing up for my races. I do that on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On average, give or take, I'm not the gold standard. I'm not perfect, but that's what my routine looks like. And it's serving me very well. It's serving me well. All right, let's get to the next one. Number 3, sleep. All right, so sleep. I mean, there are really no shortcuts with this one. Either you go to sleep or you don't. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah. All right, but on the good, better, best paradigm, what we're looking for is restorative sleep. When you get deep sleep and when you get REM sleep, you are physically restoring your brain and your body. If you take a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, you probably are not getting as much restorative sleep as you need. It takes about 90 minutes, depending on who you are, to go through the whole sleep cycle, and there are 4 phases. And so 3 and 4 require that you move into that deeper sleep. And so I know, trust me, I've operated on no sleep. I've operated on 3 hours of sleep. And you know what's best for you. But most people on average going to need somewhere between 7 and 9. That's the gold standard, right? Some people say they need 6. Here's a good example of why we need a standard. Because if you're doing 4 and you think you're winning, your body will tell you you're not winning, number one. But it gives you something to measure. You're probably 3 hours off the mark. Now, again, I'm speaking in general terms. You know your body. Some people say 6 hours. If you wake up refreshed in 6 hours, okay, that's your standard. I would guess, though, that you probably need more than that, especially depending on what phase of life you're in. So you got to pay the price. There's no discounts on that. You got to go to sleep, and you got to get at least more than 5 hours of sleep. Do we agree? Okay, again, this is a standard. All right, stress management. I don't really know how to, let's see, this is number 4. So I don't really know how to simplify number 4, because there are lots of ways that you can attack stress management. I think the most concise way I can say it is you're going to have to say no to something. You cannot do it all. So the standard is saying no to whatever you need to say no to. But, I'm a believer of, we say you can have it all. I love saying you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time, not in the same way. You can't be doing 100% at everything. So you're going to have to say no to something to manage your stress. So what does that look like? That means boundaries, and that means sticking to your boundaries. No means no. You don't get a coupon to say, okay, well, yeah, you said no, but no means no. And so the boundary is set for your protection, for your good, so you can preserve yourself so that you can continue to give and do what you were meant to do in this world. Got it? That's a good one. There are probably some other ways that we can attack stress management, but that was the most consistent thing that came to my mind. Number five, substances, risky substances. All right, so the standard when it comes to recreational drugs, we don't put them in our body. We just don't. The standard is don't do crack, don't do heroin, don't do cocaine. That really sounds like a no-brainer to some of you. But what about marijuana? Okay, there's some medicinal uses for that. Do we have to smoke it and pollute our lungs? Medicinal uses, okay. Recreational, that's a different story. Because sometimes that could just enter into a slippery slope, and sometimes we're self-medicating. I'm going to just keep it real general right there. All right, so I said the standard is don't put these recreational drugs in your body. Heroin, crack. All right, that was easy. But what about smoking? I've had a lot of patients who, not as many people smoke now as before. And I think one of the reasons is because, we're learning more about the dangers of it. It's not as easy to smoke. Sometimes I feel really bad for people who smoke because, again, it is an addiction. They have to go outside. It's in the cold. You can't be by the building. And I understand that and I get it. But it's harder and more difficult, I think, now to smoke. You can't smoke in restaurants and certain places. So that's, I think, why that's helping to address the decrease in smoking. But we're also, in the medical field, we're making sure at every visit for smokers or for people who maybe we don't know, we're checking to see, are you smoking? Do you smoke? And just every time we see you saying, are you ready to quit? Are you ready to quit? And educating you about that and giving you resources. So maybe you've quit smoking on a regular basis. Maybe you don't do 1 or 2 packs a day. Check. That's good. That is good. Maybe what is better is that, you know what? I only smoke when I hear this a lot, when I'm drinking. A lot of people smoke when they drink, or smoke when they play cards, or smoke when they get around certain people. But any other time, they don't smoke. All right, that's better. What's best is that you don't smoke at all. That you do not smoke at all. Your lungs are like, will you please not smoke. So yes, there's that good, better, best paradigm. What about alcohol? So, there's been some literature about the benefits of red wine, cardiovascular wise, and the more that it kind of pans out, like I feel like red wine is like, okay, if we take the red wine, it's like a heart pill, like it's going to help our cardiovascular system. But I think that there are other things like watching what you put inside your body as far as what you eat and exercise, that also help you just as much cardiovascular wise. So I'm not against an occasional glass of wine. I drink wine occasionally, very rarely, but I do. But I think the bang that we see from a medicinal point is really not as big as it's panning out to be. For some of the risks that come along with drinking alcohol, I don't think the bang is as big as the cost that you pay, So if you are having issues like mental health issues, I would absolutely say the gold standard is don't drink, because sometimes we self-medicate in those areas. If you have a history of alcoholism, personal alcoholism, then of course the gold standard is no alcohol. Consider it if you have a very strong family history of alcoholism in your family. If several of your immediate family members are alcoholics, there's a chance that you might also have an issue with it. And so, what we have seen is that there are enzymes that break down alcohol, and that's faulty in certain families, which can increase the risk of alcoholism. So in those cases, the gold standard would definitely be no alcohol. So, hey, I'm about living a clean life and not having to use substances to keep my body running. So that's why I will head into caffeine. Dr. V, caffeine. I know y'all. I'm going to close my eyes until you let that sink in. Okay. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, can we get up in the morning, be full of energy without coffee? Caffeinated beverages. Let me be specific about caffeinated beverages. I think that would be the gold standard, because what do we usually put in our coffee? We put in creamer, we put in sugar, and again, plant-based, whole foods, low meat, low animal products. So dairy is very low on my list, but that's one place where most people need some type of dairy. And for some, oat milk, almond milk just aren't cutting it. So the gold standard would be to not have to have a caffeinated beverage to wake up in the morning and get going and to stay energized. But I understand it. Yesterday, I was on a training from 8 to 5 on Zoom. There's a need for it sometimes. I get it. All right. So the last substance, and this is not what we would call a risky substance per se, but it is. Sugar. Sugar. I ain't gotta say much. If you can limit it, it's best. When you eat a lot of it, you want more of it. Just like other addictive drugs, try to put the sugar down. The gold standard is none, but that's almost nearly impossible in the world today. I think I've told this story before. I was on a sugar detox, and I was trying to find some salad dressing with no sugar. I went to like 3 stores, and I finally found one bottle in Whole Foods, and it was the only one. And it wasn't anything I necessarily liked as far as the flavor. I wouldn't have chosen it, but it was the only bottle of sugar-free dressing. Like a lot of things now that are made in factories and that are processed have sugar in them because it makes us want to keep eating them. Even in some of your spices, there's sugar. The stuff you season your food with, there is sugar. Okay, so that's a tough one. But for people who have come off of sugar and have limited their sugar, you see a drastic difference in your cravings. And so that's an easy win. Part of the way some of these weight loss drugs work is that they decrease your appetite, they decrease your cravings, and they tell your hormones to chill out. And one of the ways that you can do that naturally is by getting rid of all of the sugar in, or limiting the sugar in your diet. Just try me. Just try it and let me know how it goes. I haven't met a person yet who hasn't, come off sugar clean and felt better. I haven't met one. Haven't met one. All right. So number 6 is healthy relationships. What is the standard in healthy relationships? You gotta have some. We're all wired differently, but everybody needs somebody. Even if it's just a relationship with your animal, you need to have some healthy relationship that you can depend on, that you see as a means of support and encouragement, and that you're not doing this life alone. Now, if you have no friends, I would encourage you that there's probably a relationship that you have with somebody. But if you don't, the gold standard is to have at least one. Now, I'm a big person. I like connection, and I like hands-on, and I like being with people in physical spaces. But the connection that you have maybe with someone that you've never met, like pen pals. Y'all don't even know what pen pals are. Okay. Virtual relationships, texting relationships, people, you still feel a mental connection, even if you're not in the same physical space. Word rush is personal. So there are some work relationships and there are some personal relationships. Now, if you've got work relationships, you got people that you can count on at work, I think that is also good. But I really want you to have some personal relationships where people know the real you in all aspects of your life. You are able to be vulnerable, transparent. You can let your hair down. You can take the makeup off. You can take the weave off. Like, I'm talking about those type of relationships. These help you live longer, and they are a predictor of good health. Okay? So the gold standard is have some healthy relationships. Have some healthy relationships where you can feel supported. All right, so number 7, this is my +1. The College of Lifestyle Medicine, they have their 6. I'll recap them real quick. Nutrition, physical activity, sleep, stress management, avoiding risky substances, and lastly, healthy relationships. My +1 is happiness. Healthy relationships bring you happiness, but happiness is my number 7. And so happiness, bottom line, the gold standard is that you must feel fulfilled. You must be fulfilled. You must have a sense of accomplishment. You must have a sense of purpose. You must have meaning in your life. You must have gratitude in times that you are away and meditating and thinking about the things that make you happy. But if I had to say what the gold standard is you have to be fulfilled. Happiness requires that. So you all know my story. I worked in a profession that I absolutely loved, but got burned out. And the way in which I was doing it was not fulfilling, as fulfilling as it was when I started. I was called to do a podcast. God told me to do a podcast, which led to the life that I'm living right now. And me educating you about the possibilities of the abundance that's available to you if you take the steps to achieve it. That is my life's purpose. My purpose is helping you figure out your purpose, which also will lead to the other aspects of your optimal health and wellness. Let me go back. I was saying that, I worked in that field, and there were definitely portions of it that made me fulfilled, but not as much now. And so if we're looking at percentages, sure, it would be wonderful to be 100% fulfilled. I think That's when we say you're firing on all cylinders. You're here for a purpose. You know what it is. You're operating in that. Your health is good. Your mind is good. Your relationship is good. All of that leads to fulfillment, I think. And that would be great if it's 100%. But given the good, better, best paradigm, maybe 50% is good. If you've got 0, 25% is good. You'll have to kind of set up that scale. But again, knowing that there's a standard gives us something to strive for. Life is too short not to reach that or not to be aiming for it. I think what keeps from that particular one is settling. And we settle when we don't think that the gold standard is possible. When we don't think that 100% is possible, we will settle for 50. Until you meet a Dr. V or until you get an epiphany and see somebody living 100%, then you like, oh, okay, it's possible. It's possible. Maybe it's not for me, but they did it. Okay. We keep seeing these things. At some point, you're going to say, you know what, that's possible for me as well. All right, I'm not going to dwell on that one because if y'all want more of that, you all need to get into my Delivering Destiny group. And that's not a sales plug, but the things that are happening in that group are absolutely amazing. And it really is starting with the mind. It is really starting with the mind. So, okay. I hope you enjoyed this session. I know y'all, this was a little hard hitting. But again, I think as a health professional, it is our obligation to tell you what is best. It is also our obligation to help you get there. Now, I'm not requiring the best, but I at least want you to know what is best because guess what? This is what I have realized, that sometimes in certain areas, once people know what is best, they achieve it. They achieve it. I never count people out. Your heart's desire can be turned on a dime at any second. Your motivation, your need for the best. You got bad diabetes or you have a heart attack or stroke. Those things change, right? Those things change your perspective. And you need to know what is best for you. Okay. So I am Dr. V. I love you. I want you to know what is best for you. And I want you to know how to get there. And again, it is my purpose to walk with you along this journey. So please share this episode with someone. And I just hope it was helpful for you today. So until next time, thank you for joining me on this episode of Office Visits with Dr. V. I hope you found today's discussion inspiring and empowering as we continue to transform healthcare and unlock our true potential. Remember, you have the power to make a positive change in your life. And together, we can create a healthier, purpose-driven future. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends and your family. Your support helps us spread our message and reach more women who are ready for change. Stay connected with our community, please, by following us on social media and visiting our website for more resources, stories, and insights. I'm Dr. V, and until next time, take care of yourself, embrace your journey, and keep living a life of purpose. You should consult with your doctor before implementing anything heard on this episode. For more information, read our show notes.